Welcome back to another Theorizing video. This one is going to be a return to some of my favorite style of videos, which is going to be a Theorycraft video. This one's going to specifically be about base locations. With the advent of 1.0 coming in the future, as well as the recent news that we had that we will potentially either with 1.0 or somewhat in the near future after 1.0 have the ability to move our castles. I thought it would be important, and also I've had a lot of requests of people asking about information about base locations, like what base locations are good, what to look for in a base location, that kind of thing. And I figured, it's been like over a year since I made a video like this, so I might as well kind of update it with some more information. I'm also going to go through and give you we're going to Theorycraft a little bit about 1.0, or as far as like moving base locations, and also talk a bit about how to think about bases for raids. So how to like make your castle like raid ready, so to speak. So just some basics on that. So for starters, whenever I look at a good location, generally, as I've said in other videos, I kind of consider, just depends on what you're trying to consider. Obviously, if you're playing PvE, there's not a whole lot of what I'm saying that matters unless you're really pushing for progression speed. But if you're playing PvP, likely what I'm going to say is going to matter. So what I'm looking for primarily in a base location. So I'm just going to use this side of the map to start. This is right now, as of the Gloomrot update, this is my ideal location for progression, as well as like defense. There's some really, really good base locations over here. For starters, what are we looking for? Well, the best you can hope for, honestly, is something with only a single entrance, like this location here. Only has the single location, only has a single entrance. This is, this is like a raised plateau, and then it has another plateau here. It hooks all the way back around here, and you can put your castle heart right here and make it very difficult for for raiders to fight their way up all the way through this around to your castle heart. So this to me is like one of the best base locations in the entire game, specifically only for that reason. But then on top of that, it's also very close to these two cave locations. This is from Cursed Forest. This is for Gloomrot. And then over here, this is from Dunley. I don't even know how helpful this is, honestly, because by the time you ride here and go to this and ride all the way over, you could probably have just ridden down like this. But regardless, so in terms of raid defense, we're looking for stuff like this because we have this single location. Right next door, you see this location. I mean, it's not totally unusable, but the problem is you're having to defend two sides here. So like you could put a ton of defense. You have to like split your defense here, right? So they could basically attack you here. And if you've ever been through a siege, or you see what happens whenever a castle's in siege, every one of your walls are now breakable, even by just regular vampires. So like say this is your main entrance, they could, raiders could split you up and put like a golem over here, and attack both sides. And then once one side is, broken, one door is broken, well, now the whole castle is in raid mode, and now you have to worry about getting attacked from two sides, right? So that's what makes something like this so strong. For that specific idea for raiding, is that you only have a single entrance here, and you can know like, hey, I can focus all of my defenses around here so that as they're trying to push up and attack me, they can just get bombarded with servants, with banshees, all kinds of stuff. So another good base location. So like with that idea in mind, with that single entrance in mind, you can kind of quickly look around the map and quickly pick locations that are good and some that are probably not so good. So for instance, this right here, solid base location. This is really good. This one is pretty good. It may only have, it doesn't have a second tier, but it is only one entrance and it's a pretty solid size. This base location here is crazy. You can put a heart here. You can pick this entire lower area just surrounded with all kinds of defenses. So that one's really good. This one right here is absurd. We're going to show some videos of what this one looks like. Yeah, so again, we can kind of look at there. So right now, as of right now, my personal favorite base locations are anything in this area that is a one entrance base, other than this one, because this one actually, this location here can actually jump down into this location. So I don't do this one. Like this location's good. This one, I don't know about this one. This one, this one, this one, this one right here. They're all very good. Now, obviously, these aren't the only good base locations. There's plenty of other good ones. Like this location here actually is really good. It's very, very central to every single cave, you know, that you have here. So all 4 caves, it's you know, it's right in the center of the map. Anything in the center like this is going to be strong, and it only has a single entrance like this and a ton of space to work with. So things like that is what we're looking for. You know, if we're looking in Dunley, let's say you don't get anything in Farbane, you have bases like this that are pretty solid. This one's pretty good. This right here is actually pretty crazy. I mean, obviously there's 2 entrances, but what you can do is you actually just focus all your defenses right here, and then you're fine. It doesn't really matter. This one's really good. This one's really good. This one works. It's not my favorite, but it's pretty good. Again, we're just looking for those single base entrance locations. This one actually can work as well, even though it has 2 locations. It's just so long and they're really close to each other that it's not really that hard to deal with. But I probably would, you know, skip it unless you like that one. And then you know, we look in something like Gloomrot. You have bases like this, where even though they have 2 locations, this is a single spot here. You can kind of like almost like forego this or leave it all open. You'll understand a lot more what I mean by you know, having stuff like this actually be pretty good whenever we get to some of the video footage. We have, you know, bases like this one right here is really good. And then up here's like a really crazy one. For this area here for squads is extremely strong in my opinion, because even though you can kind of get into, you know, they're all right next to each other and you can walk in between this area, or there's 2 entrances here. What happens is they're so close to each other, you can jump down from here into here. You can jump down from here, I think, yeah, from here to here. So it's like this weird situation where you're like, this one is like 3 levels up. And it's really easy to defend. So, and like it is a squad, you can kind of make this whole area pretty locked down. But and then, you know, bases like over here is pretty good. This is a pretty good one. If we're looking in Silverlight, I mean, this one is pretty good. The problem is it's just such a huge landmass that you like, I don't know, it makes it a little rough. You can make like right this area really defensible, but they actually can jump and run along the river here and like get back here. So if you don't know that, they can like kind of come from behind here and get you there. Yeah, it's like this base location here, super good. In terms of Cursed Forest, as of right now, I mean, this one's good. This one's pretty good. Yeah, both of these are decent, I guess. So the interesting thing about this, as far as I remember, I don't believe you can actually jump down from this base to this base anymore. So as far as I know. So that means that, you know, this is a really huge, you know, location, and they have to deal with Curse of the Forest the whole time as well, which is pretty nice. And then, you know, you have Hollowed Mountains right now. As of right now, the Hallowed Mountains is like this location, that's about it. But, okay, so we're going to talk just really briefly about, 1.0 and what's coming in 1.0 with castle moving. So, previously, as of Gloomrot and before that, some of the strongest progression strategies that you could possibly do would be to pick a location that is close to caves, like this area over here. In, let's see, in Gloomrot, so... Oh, that's not it. Let's see, V-Rising. There we go. So this is pre-Gloom right here. This is like was my ideal base location for progression. It was just so insanely strong. This is before Gloomrot even came out, and that was specifically because there was a cave passage here from Cursed Forest. This one didn't go here. This one actually went right here. There was a second cave in Cursed Forest that went down here, and this spot here was an exit, which is, you know, at the time it was the only exit inside of something other than Farbane, and it made this location just absolutely insane. You could also build, there wasn't territory, so you could just like block this whole area off and just have this crazy like progression area. So yeah, so that was what it used to be. So the idea is basically just all progression stuff, strategies centralized for me around cave exits, because the idea is if I'm spending all of my time running from Gloomrot all the way down, or from Curse First all the way down. I mean, that takes so much time. So if you take a cave, here's the other thing. Let's say you are building in Dunley, and it's centralized in general, but the problem is if I'm here, I'm constantly having to run here for everything. And it's not terrible, but it's also not, it's not that fast. So the idea right now for me is if I build over here, that's right next to two cave locations, both of which are very end game. This is Gloomrot, this is Cursed Forest. And then I can just run down from Silverlight. You only have one spot you have to worry about running down from. And then if you need to go Dunley, same thing, you can run down from Dunley. But with the advent of moving your base, being able to move your base, there is something to be said now of actually just picking a base location. So I have no idea what it's going to take to be able to move your base. If it's going to be locked behind a specific boss, if that boss is going to be a late game boss, if it's going to be a mid game boss, if it's going to be tied behind your quest progression, after a specific point, you just do XYZ, upgrade your heart to level 3 or something, and then you can move it. So I have no idea if that's the case, if that's what it's going to be. If it's something like that, this may depend, but here is my thought process for that. The idea is, with progression bases, if you can condense your base into a very efficient base, then there is something to be said of having a very efficient base that's just for Farbane to get you into Farbane and take advantage of maybe this cave entrance that comes out here. So maybe you just pick one of these centralized base locations right around this cave. And then depending on when you're able to move your base, moving your base into the next area that is a very needed area. So for instance, whenever you're going into Gloomrot, you're having to go into Gloomrot, run to the cave, take the cave down, run back to your base. Back to Gloomrot, run to the cave, take the cave down, with batteries. Once you have batteries, once you have radium alloy, all that kind of stuff, you're having to constantly go into the cave to come out of the cave, run back to your base, all the time. And while that is certainly significantly faster than running from Gloomrot to here, what if you could just suddenly have your base in Gloomrot right here? Instead of having to run all the way to the cave, teleport down, all the way back to your base, instead, what if it was just right here? So you could just get the thing you need, through Sulfur Mine, jump out, run to your base. Or get the thing you need, you do your batteries over, where is it, right here? You jump down, run to your base. So my thought process is, if you can make a base that is extremely efficient, meaning you only need a certain number of tiles, a small amount of tiles as you could possibly get, moving it will not, depending on what the requirements are for moving it won't be a big deal. It actually might be faster to just take a couple minutes to quickly move your base from somewhere in Farbane up to somewhere in Gloomrot, if that makes sense. So that's something to keep an eye out. This is the first thing I thought of when I thought of moving bases, was how can we abuse that for faster progression strats? What if, we were living around these caves for a while, and then all of a sudden you get to the very end of the game and you're hey, let's just snag, or even mid game, you snag a really strong base location up here. And so not only do you have this really good base location with your primary base, you're also in Gloomrot for the end of that, or, whatever Hallowed Mountains looks like, or next to Dracula's Castle, whatever is the ideal location. So very interesting concept there. So this is someone from the Discord, our Discord, which, by the way, if you're interested in the Discord, check the description. This is from Felfit. This is this is an extremely efficient base design he made. I believe it is 40 tiles, which is very crazy. I mean, this is only 40 tiles here. You can see this has pretty much everything you could possibly need in it. We'll zoom in a little bit. So here's a forge room, 3x3. You have the jewelry room, 2x2. This is a 3x2 workshop, which you could honestly make even smaller. It just, if you want this, the woodworking bench, you can have that there. You could probably cut these two off if you don't want that. Then you have alchemy room here. Then you have library here. Small little prison, 2x2, and a 2x3 tailoring room. So this is extremely efficient. This is only 40 tiles, and it even has staircases here, which is good for defense, for raid defense. This is only 40 tiles, and so the idea here would be hey, if you can memorize this kind of a base layout, you could Throw this down in as your first base location. Have everything ready so you know that you have everything you need to get your base up and running at the new location as quickly as possible. And instead of transporting 50 rooms or like 120 tiles, you're just transporting 40 tiles from one spot to the next. So again, if you're interested in more information on that, check the Discord in the description. Thank you, PhilFit. Awesome. All right, so now we're going to be looking at some footage that I pulled from the V-Arena server. They just did an event that was pretty cool. Check out V-Arena, by the way. Awesome place to practice your PvP. But this is going to show you some basic raid defense strategy in terms of like base building. You can see here what they did was essentially put stairs in front of everything, and then they funnel you into one specific location. Then you have these walls on either side, these doors on either side here. And you can see, if you look through the door here on the left-hand side, you can see those servants where they're ready to just open these gates and release the servants. And then they use things like stairs, because stairs are invincible. They cannot be broken. So they use things like stairs to funnel you into that spot. You can see these planters everywhere. These planters are used because they they make it so you can't put siege golems down. So that is what you're seeing here. This is a pretty basic base style. And here we see another one. This is just another location on that same server. You can see they put some planters down, but they didn't actually finish it. So they could put siege golems there. They use things like the staircase. Again, they're funneling them into a specific location. Here's a extra wide, double wide staircase. So that essentially all they have to work with is this small, tiny location right here. So that's all they can really attack. They funnel you directly to this location. So that if you're trying to break in, you can see right there, they have some servants over there. And you have some more open space. So essentially what they're doing is they're funneling you to this one little spot. All you can really break is this one little thing, this single door, or one of these two doors. And that's all you can do to put it in raid mode. And here's another spot here where you can see they have this little like wall in the front here. It kind of blocks your vision. I think it actually helps with like targeting as well. If you're trying to do AoE targeting, you can't like see up the stairs very well. So you have to turn your camera to the side, but these guys got raided regardless. You can see they had the stairs here. There's the servants on the side over there. You can see right here, you have some of the tombs. This is used for banshees. So you can like open the door and the banshees will just like attack you. I don't know if they got offlined or something, but it seems like they probably did because there's not a whole lot like of resistance here, it seems. Yeah, then you can see they use these different stairs to, again, they're funneling people to a specific location. And they used as many stairs as they could. I'm just looking right up here to see. This is all pre-recorded, by the way. I'm just like commenting on it as I'm going through here. I didn't have frog form. If I did, I would have jumped up here to show you like how they could have jumped up on top of this with frog form and then jumped back down to like kind of scout the base. But yeah, as you can see, they just use as many stairs as they possibly could. And this is going to be something that's, makes it more difficult for people to push through. So this is definitely another option. More things to consider, just like more in-depth, reviewing what you can do inside of a base. And for the last location, this one is absolutely crazy. As you can see, there used to be foundation there for walls, but then they got rid of them. And why in the world would they ever put this many planters in a single spot, right? You may be asking yourself. And if you look in here, let's look here, you see it's kind of like a battle arena. You use the stairs there to block off that. There's gates on both sides. If you peek through there, you can see there's the servants over there. You can just open these up and let the servants loose when they want to. On this side, you can see the tombs on that side. And you have these staircases, this staircase right here, right? So so if essentially you're making this little battle arena, space to fight. But here's the question. Why in the world would they have this many planters, right? Well, it's obviously like to make it so they can't plant a siege golem there. So like the further away they are, that's nice. But the other thing you have to consider is when it is daytime, like this, it just turned daytime. When it is daytime, there is no shade. So not only can they not put siege golems down in this entire area, but there's no shade anywhere out here except for clouds, obviously. So if you're trying to fight during that time frame, I mean, you are going to get absolutely obliterated by the sun because there's no shade anywhere. And look how far you actually have to push up from the down area, like the lower area, just to get up here. So like you're fighting the sun the entire time. Very crazy. So But anyway, so that is going to be it for the raid defense stuff and base theory crafting video. Hope you enjoyed it. It was a little bit longer than I was expecting, but hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to like the video, leave a comment down below. And again, if you are interested in talking more about V-Rising, or anything along those lines, feel free to join the Discord. Anyway, that's going to be it. Thanks for watching, and we will catch you in the next one.